Welcome back to the channel and another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast, where tonight we'll be discussing Tottenham's win. Yes, Tottenham's win. I'll say it again, against Hoffenheim in Germany. You might notice I'm not Chris Cowling, I'm Craig Dearman, and I'll be guiding you through the next hour or so with these fine gentlemen talking about a game we've won, which is absolutely lovely to be talking about a win and rocketing us up the Europa League table. Let's introduce the lovely guest first. We got Terry Kim back with us from the States. How are you, Terry?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Craig. Hope you are as well. I feel like us as a Spurs collective, it feels like we've been kind of drowning over the past month or so. And this result gives us an excuse to, or just at least a few days to come up for some air. So that feels really good. But it was it wasn't easy, was it? I mean, they never make it easy for us. It's especially that 5 minutes. I mean, talk about some squeaky bum time. But I feel like 22 Hoffenheim shots to 8 Tottenham shots was a more reflective of the game than the actual score. But we'll get into it.
We certainly will. And just to let you know, we're not only live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, X, and Twitch. If any of them is your persuasion. So please do get involved as well. Let us know your thoughts on the game in the comments. You're always so talkative, you lot. And I'll put a few of them on screen. Melvyn from Malta is back with us as well. How are you, Melvyn? Good to be celebrating a win.
Yeah, it's we needed the win, especially to go up in the group for the Europa League. I want to be, within the first 8, obviously, because we don't need the extra games. A difficult one away, under the circumstances that we're in. Happy with the win, happy, with the 3 points, and I'm sure we'll discuss the game today and the preview for Leicester.
Absolutely. And Gary is with us for a debut on the main podcast. He's been on a fan show. Gary, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Craig. Delighted to be on. I've been looking forward to it all week, really excited, and looking forward to talking about the game tonight and obviously moving forward with our beloved club. So, yeah, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
No worries at all. Always a pleasure to have new guests on. And even better, Gary, on your debut, be talking about a win. How good is that? A win which, of course, 3-2 to Spurs, goals from Maddison and 2 from Captain Heung-min Son. Hoffenheim scoring 2, making it, as you say, squeaky bum time, Terry. But we got over the line. Now, Spurs are 4th. That looks a bit healthier, doesn't it? Spurs are 4th in the Europa League table. And a win at home against Elfsborg will ensure our top 8 qualification, which means we don't have to play 2 more games in the qualification phase. Match stats. So Tottenham had 44% possession overall and Hoffenheim 56. Shots 22, Hoffenheim 8, Tottenham. I mean, that is a surprising stat in itself, isn't it? 5 on target per team. Touches in the opposition box, 34 for Hoffenheim, 29 for Spurs. Goalkeeper saves 2 to 3. Fouls 6 apiece. Corners 6 to Hoffenheim and 4 to Spurs. Funny old game that, wasn't it, Terry? It was the old expression, game of 2 halves. It was. Give us your thoughts on the game as a whole, because I must admit I didn't write down much for the first half because it was going swimmingly. We score a few goals, which I'll come on to, but second half was just one of them weird Spurs performances, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I actually did write down that Hoffenheim had a couple of good chances. Austin made a couple of really nice saves in that first half. So I feel like Hoffenheim could have had a couple of goals in that first half as well. I mean, the start was exactly what we needed. That ball over the top from Porro for that Maddison goal. I was trying to jog my memory. I don't think I've seen that since that Brighton game, that infamous Brighton game where we were up 2-0 and we eventually lost. But I remember thinking at that time that it was nice to see us with some new plays, some over-the-top plays, and that happened there with that Maddison goal. It did feel pretty comfortable at halftime. If I think back to halftime, it didn't really feel like that much of a worry. There was a 10-minute spell in the first half around the 30s where it seemed like one-way traffic, but then the second half just started off that way, and it seemed like for about 20 minutes or so, it was just completely one-way traffic for Hoffenheim. And I think we were talking about this in the green room, that it seems like the players are just completely running on empty. They seemed really, really spent in that second half, and a lot of walking around, which honestly I can't blame them given the amount of minutes that they've all put in. So it really was a game of two halves. I felt like the Suns' second goal, our third goal, kind of gave us some breathing room. But then of course we shut off and let them right back into the game as well, and that made for a really interesting and scary end of the game. Just relieved and thankful to get through with a win with 3 points in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Melvyn, what was your thoughts on the game overall?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, we did take our chances. I think I felt for the first time this season we didn't really miss much chances. We were quite clinical with our chances. Obviously, good to see Son score. Yeah, the pass from Pedro was really good. I thought Richarlison looked a bit, a bit tired, a bit leggy, which is why he was probably subbed off early. But good to see him play. It was one of those games where it really doesn't show you much of the team because of the fatigue, and it showed. But a mature performance by most of the players, not really many individual mistakes or errors. I know we can see the 2 goals, which is frustrating at times, but overall it was still a solid performance and a good victory, because going away in the Europa League is often tricky, and these types of games you can easily slip if you're not on it, and if you don't concentrate till the end. I thought Brendan Austin was decent. I didn't think he didn't do much wrong. Archie Gray and Davis were solid, and yeah, it was good to see Bentancur back in the midfield. I thought we need him to be match fit again to get some minutes, because he's been really hot and cold this season. He comes in and plays 1 or 2 games, and it seems to be he's out. He had the ban and the injuries, and he's a really hot and cold player at the moment. We need players like him to really step up, because there's injuries going on, especially in midfield, and I really feel that's a weak spot for us this season. Like I said, good to see Richarlison back. I am a fan of Richarlison. I like what he does, and with Solanke out, we need him to perform, need him to start getting goals and assists again, and 60 minutes for him will be really good. So hopefully, he'll start against Leicester and maybe play 80, 90 minutes. I think Postecoglou will try to manage him and ease him back in. I'm not sure. We need to protect players like him, because we don't want him to get injured again. Other than that, hopefully, I was a bit frustrated by how strong of a lineup he chose today. I felt that we could have gotten a victory with resting maybe Kulusevski or perhaps Heung-min Son. I didn't want him to go this strong, and I was saying, in the chat between us on the WhatsApp, I thought it was risky to play Kulusevski again. I thought he could have rested maybe 1 or 2 players, and we would have been strong enough to get the victory. I liked when with the subs that he made. I liked that Mikey Moore and Lancashire and Tolis Hazy played. But other than that, 3 points. Hopefully, no injuries, and we move on to the game on Sunday.
Yeah, Gary, anything else to echo about the game? Did you think it was a bit of a funny game? Did you feel we were like full tilt all game, or do you think players were just protecting themselves and just did enough to get the job done?
To be fair, Craig, I think the boys have really hit the nail on the head. I think it was a bit of a game of 2 halves. I thought we started well, Obviously got the early goal, looked in control, looked full of energy. But as the first half sort of wore on, you could sense that Hoffenheim was starting to get into the game. And towards the end of that first half, we just needed half time. But unfortunately, in the second half, it kind of unfolded in a similar vein as to the end of the first half. And I just thought we were just out on our feet at the end of the game. The players just looked really fatigued, and we were sort of clinging on a little bit towards the end. I'm just happy to get through it, and hopefully now that will give the boys a bit of confidence, and give us the confidence to go into the Leicester game, a bit of momentum, and and then if we can beat Elfsborg next week, that puts us into the qualify basically, and then we've got that big one against Liverpool, haven't we? I think so after that. So to play for.
Yeah, you'd hope that we get a few goals up against Elfsborg and he can bring the kids on almost. Obviously, I know we had a couple come on today. Yeah, I mean that's a massive. Well, let's face it, it's a massive. That week is massive for Ange, isn't it? And the club. Liverpool semi-final, then Villa in the cup. So it could almost shape his destiny. Terry, let's come on to the starting lineup. Austin in goal, Porro, Dragusin, Davies and Gray along the back line. Back to a back four tonight. Bergvall, Bentancur, Maddison in the midfield, and Kulusevski, Richarlison and Son up front. Substitutes are Jay, Casanova, Forster, Hardy, Lancashire, Olucisi, Moore and Whiteman. I never know how to say his surname, Olucisi. I think it's Olucisi. I know a few people called him Elise. I'm not sure it is that, because I'm sure he went to Bayern Munich. Terry, what do you make of that starting 11? Any surprises? Anybody you're surprised at?
Not surprised. I would say I'm with Melvyn. The only difference that I would have liked to have seen here, I would have liked to have seen Mikey Moore start ahead of Son Heung-min. I mean, now in hindsight, Son got the 2 goals, so it looks like it was the right decision. But the way that Son's been playing and with his lack of confidence, it didn't really feel like he deserved the start. And I think it would have been nice for him to get a bit of a rest and for Mikey Moore to come in. Other than that, I think the rest of the squad picks itself. It's some of these players, like Casanova. I haven't even heard of some of those players that are on the bench. So this really tells you how strapped we are. Like, essentially, we had 11 senior players to choose from. So if they all had to start, we only had Lancashire and Moore as viable substitutes here, and I think it's Olucisi. He got his Tottenham debut today. In a very precarious time at the end of the game there, but Ange really didn't have much of a choice, did he, in terms of starting lineup?
No, absolutely. Melvyn, I know you touched on it earlier, and you mentioned in our group that you were disappointed Kulusevski started tonight. Moore could have obviously started on the right, as Terry said. But we were a bit light on that bench tonight, weren't we? There wasn't huge amounts of options because we've got just so many injuries. And now with Solanke confirmed he's out for 6 weeks, I believe, with an MCL strain. We're just not catching a break, are we?
Yeah, I just think he could have played Richarlison on the left, rested Son potentially, and played Lancashire. And it might have been enough for us to get the win. Probably would have been a more fresher lineup. I know Son at the end of the day scored 2 goals, and that will do him good for his confidence. And but yeah, it is what it is, and hopefully we don't get any more injuries. But yeah, I think the main one that I was afraid of was Kulusevski. He seems to be a machine, because lately he did a video recently where you get to see a day of his life, and he looks like he takes care of his body and he recovers well, and he just seems to be a machine. He's able to do these games, and he's always one of the most players that runs the most. He covers the most distance, and he just seems to be one of his key attributes. He's able to keep playing 90 minutes, and it's impressive. It's something like I think Højbjerg had like a similar thing. He would play, he could just keep playing and playing and playing, and his body is able to cope with the load, and it's quite impressive. And hopefully, he doesn't pick up an injury. But with the way our luck is going recently, I think Postecoglou should really be protecting the players more. Even Pedro Porro was one of them that I was afraid of. And at the end, I think in 98 minutes or whatever it was, he did that crazy lunge on the defender, and his shoe came off. And I actually thought for a second he might have broken his foot. And it was just like, because I was thinking the absolute worst case scenario, and I just for a moment think we're cursed at the moment, and there's something going on with this club, and I don't trust anyone. And I just thought Postecoglou needs to be resting these players more whenever he gets the chance. But getting the 3 points, I guess, was important because he can rest against Elfsborg in the Europa League when we play at home.
Yeah. Gary, going to you, just come back to this lineup. I mean, it just goes to show how thin on the ground we are at the moment. Give us your thoughts on the starting 11, but also why do you think it is that Tottenham haven't done any business for outfield players in this transfer window so far? Do you think there's an underlying sort of sinister sort of reason for that they know they're going to be second-hand, so they don't want to bring players in? Or do you think it's just poor management by the club? I mean, they've had 4 months to prepare for this. What's your take on it?
Well, I think in terms of the starting lineup, I'm not sure. It's a game we needed to win tonight. So I can understand why he went strong. I think, perhaps he could have played Lancashire up front, given Son a rest. But again, I just think he had to go strong. We needed to win this game. I think in terms of the transfer market, I just don't know. I think, I'm a bit like you, Craig. Perhaps there is a bit of a sinister sort of answer to it. Why otherwise wouldn't they have gone out and bought a couple of players? It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. And just crying out for help, as he keeps calling it. He wants help. It's clear to everyone that he needs help. Yet the club, I'm not even hearing many rumours or anything. I know we like to work under the radar, so to speak. But it's quite worrying, really. Quite worrying.
Yeah, because I think we all know the positions that we need strengthening in. Terry, what do we need? What's your opinion? What do we need? Is it just a striker at the moment, or it just seems that we've got problems all over the pitch? We've got the goalkeeper in, great. Kinski, I think, was a great purchase. And I honestly, perhaps naively, thought we'd push on and get some more signings in early, but it's just not happening again, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it feels like a striker, preferably someone versatile who could play both on the wing and up the middle, and then some kind of defender, either a center back or a full back who could take some of the pressure off. It feels like we need both of those. I feel really bad for Ange, of course, because of the injuries, but more so just that he's the only one that's put in front of the media and has to answer these questions, and he's forced to just say the club's working really hard behind the scenes, he's kind of forced to say that, and he's getting peppered with all these questions because he's our only conduit to answering any of these questions here, and we don't know what's happening, if anything is happening behind the scenes. In terms of something sinister, I don't know about that. To me, it feels like they're just looking for another deal. Like it's Levy being a bit cheap. I know. I've always thought it's really hard to sign people in January, but then you look at City, it's hard not to be jealous there. I mean, they got Mamouche. What would they spend? 75 million on him. They got that center back. I think it's I don't know his name, Kachanov or something. And that young kid from Brazil. I mean, Man City's been pretty desperate, and they went and took full advantage of this window. I mean, Kinski was great. I think he's a legitimate goalkeeper who could really challenge Vicario, but we really need someone. It feels like they're just waiting for a deal on this. I've heard these rumors about Cunha. I mean, I think someone like Cunha would transform our team. The way he can dribble past players, his versatility, his speed, both on offense and defense. I mean, if you remember that first half of Wolves against us, I mean, he was head and shoulders above anybody else on that field. If we looking at City's budget, if we could just slap something down like 50 million or whatever Wolves needed for him, I would love if we would do that, but I just can't see Levy green lighting that.
Melvyn, why aren't we buying players? Is there a simple answer?
I don't know. Last time I said sometimes I'd rather not buy the wrong player in January, especially when you think, with our current crop of players, I want to see which ones step up and which ones kind of hide. And I really want the club to give Postecoglou the authority to sell any one of the players we have at the moment that don't step up and really do something this season. I know for me, I think the club's biggest weakness at the moment is in the midfield. I don't think the defense is the problem. I know we can keep conceding goals, but I just don't think Dragusin and Gray are doing such a bad job at the back. I just think the problems lie in front of them. I don't think we have a balanced midfield. I don't think Kulusevski and Madison, when they play together in midfield, we're too open, we're too easy, we have no spine. And I think out of the 4 or 5 midfielders we have at the moment, I think 2 of them need to be moved on. I think for me, Bissouma is one of them. I'm sorry, I think he's been too inconsistent. I wish we still have the Bissouma from Brighton. I think, I don't know what the plan is for January. I was hoping we would do more. I was hoping that we would have signed, another player by now and have him ready for the Liverpool game, because I think that's potentially one of the biggest games of our season. And it would have made a big let's say we got a massive striker or attacker over the line, 50-60 million, whatever. It would have really picked up the mood of the team heading into that Liverpool game. It could have made a difference that would win us the game, just like Kinski arguably came in, played against Liverpool, arguably won us the game. If you think the alternative to that would have been Fraser Foster, and I wasn't really confident in Fraser anymore. I know he did well in the first couple of games, but if you think one signing could really change a game, one of them did. So I don't know. The ownership at the moment, I'm not happy with. I've not been happy with the ownership for a while, but I'm not really vocal about it. I'm not one of those guys that would verbally be chanting, Levy out or any of that kind of stuff. It's disappointing to think, we moved into the stadium, we're generating so much money, and to think, where's the ambition, where is the drive? And sometimes the ownership doesn't show it. They don't act like a big club. They act like, we'll do our best, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. They don't act like we want them to. If you look at, I don't know what clubs I can compare us to at the moment, but if you look at Nottingham Forest, they're trying to sign Cunha. I mean, Nottingham Forest don't make the money we do they? It's like, I really thought the stadium would have been a game changer, and it's disappointing that we gave up, a stadium of White Hart Lane and made it our fortress. We had one of the best atmospheres in the Premier League. We had one of the best young teams in the league, and where did that go? And we literally, in a way, sold our soul for this, and at the moment it's not paying off, is it? And I keep thinking, if there's a way we could go back to White Hart Lane, we would have a better atmosphere, we would have more fight, we would have a happier fan base. And it's like, why did we sell all that for what? For the money? But the money's not being spent, is it? It's like I constantly keep thinking about this, and I the only good thing is international fans like me have access to tickets. That's the only positive thing, because White Hart Lane was impossible for me to get tickets, and that's the only positive thing I can think about the new stadium.
Melvyn, you say about not spending money, but looking at this graphic we've seen before, 309, nearly 400 million under Ange Postecoglou, and yes, a couple of those were players that we were guaranteed to sign, if you like, anyway, and owed money on anyway. Right. But I mean, 400 million is a hell of a lot of money, isn't it? We would not have been spending that if we was at White Hart Lane. We wouldn't have had the capital to spend if we were still at White Hart Lane. So is it just the case that they're building for the future? Obviously, players like Bergvall, Archie Gray, Odebear, Kinski, there's some very talented youngsters in there. And I know that's not what people want to hear. It's not what I want to hear. But it does set us up for the future quite well, as long as these players continue to progress. When you say we haven't spent any money, I do get what you're saying. It's just spending on the right players, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the recruitment's definitely improved. I think the ratio of us getting it right compared to getting it wrong, the ratio is definitely improved. I think in the past when we bought players, I don't know if you think of under Mauricio Pochettino, we did have some really bad players, and especially it continued under Jose, and it continued under Nuno, and it continued under Conte, and since then I think there's been an admission within the club that they need to change their structure. It's a bit more data led, a bit more. I think Levy's, he employed Fabio Paratici, who I was a major fan of, and now we have a more data-led structure. And over the last, I think, 2.5 years, you could say we've bought better players with you could see the potential of these players immediately, and they're young and they're hungry, and we've brought the age of the squad down, drastically. Where I struggle to accept is that, big clubs would have sent Archie Gray and Bergvall on loan. And even with Kinski, they would have sent these kids on loan and bought ready-made players to fight for Champions League or fight for the league. You don't see Chelsea doing this kind of stuff. You don't see Liverpool or even Arsenal doing this kind of stuff. And we can compete with them financially. We have one of the highest revenues in European football, and we should be competing. I know we don't have Champions League money, and they do, but I don't know. We just don't operate like a big club, Craig. We haven't done for a long, long time. And sadly, the only time I can think that we operated as a big club and we were ruthless is when we sacked Pochettino. And that's the only time I can remember is us acting like a big club. And to a certain degree, when we sacked, Nuno, and we brought in Conte after we failed to bringing him the first time, we went back for Conte. That's the only times I can recall that us, we try to act like a big club, and at times it goes wrong. I'm happy that we're playing the youth. Don't get me wrong, because it's exciting, but we did need more. We did need more like Solanke. We needed, I think, probably 3 more, but. And all of a sudden now it's put on the manager, and I think that's one of the main reasons I think Postecoglou still had a job. It's because he's not doing like Conte did. Conte called out the club. Conte and even Jose Mourinho to an extent. The bad side of the club, bad side of Levy, they would say publicly. They would say this club has no pressure to win. This club has no ambition. My favorite thing about Conte was the rant he did at Southampton. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things. I think within our group, people know I'm a big fan of Conte because he doesn't like to challenge for top 4. He doesn't like, he wants to challenge for the league every single time. If you look back, he went to Napoli and they sold Osimhen, and now they sold one of their best wingers, and he's still in a title race. These type of managers, they have this elite mentality where they want to win at all costs. and I feel that our football club, there's no pressure for us to win. There's too many people who are comfortable with losing, and I spoke about this when I spoke to you guys during the week, Craig, and I was really, really angry because I feel this club, we need to bring in, like, for example, Vicario. I love Vicario because I think Vicario has this mentality where he wants to win desperately. I think Cuti Romero is a player not mentioned enough. I think we've missed him a lot this season, even with goals. Last season, he scored 6 goals, and we're missing his goals, weirdly enough, even though he's a defender. I think we don't have enough players that absolutely hate to lose. And there's a difference between wanting to win.
Players that hate to win, yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, hate to lose. I mean, I speak to my girlfriend's brother who plays quite high level football, and you need to have players that absolutely hate to lose. They do everything. I mean, even like Kulusevski's a bad loser. You could see Kulusevski's a bad loser. You see him mumbling on the pitch when we concede the goal. He's probably speaking in Swedish or swearing in Swedish. But if you pay attention to Kulusevski, I love him because I find him quite funny at times. But when he's frustrated, you just see him mumbling to himself, saying something to himself like, "The fuck's going on?" Like he wants to win at all costs. He hates to lose. And you see him when we conceded against Everton, the second goal. He was going crazy at the guys. Like, come on, pull it together. We need something. We need more. And we have too many players that are comfortable with losing. I keep saying this. Madison, I feel Madison is too much of a media personality to me. He's not a footballer he doesn't give us a spine in the middle. Yeah, he scored a good goal today, and we need more of Madison. He needs to step up. He needs to be a big game player, Madison. Let's say Madison this season. This is the only way, in my opinion, we keep Madison is give us a cup run, give us a goal against Liverpool, give us a goal that brings us to a European Cup final. Do something that he said, I was born to play for Tottenham or something like that, something along those lines. You have to do something big, like Lucas did, like Lucas Moura. Do something that Gascoigne did, score a goal in the semi-final against Arsenal. Do something big, that not talk in the media. Like it's all good when you talk and you try to. I don't know. It's just I find him that he does things for the camera. He plays too much for the camera, and he's too nice sometimes. And we need players to step up and be big game players and to sometimes lead by example. I mean, I know they're a young squad, and Postecoglou mentioned this, that the youth players are trying, to show the senior players, come on, like they're really leading by example. Look at Gray. Gray hasn't stopped playing for a long time. I can't remember the last time Gray stopped playing. I mean, when was he rested? He's pulling through. He keeps showing these mature performances, and he's 18. He shouldn't be this good at 18. He shouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely. Melvyn's right there, Gary, isn't he? Like, look, I'm talking about a lot of things there, but Archie Gray's kind of been the mainstay over the last. Well, I don't know how many games he's played now, but he's almost played. Well, he probably has played successive games, hasn't he? He's been phenomenal.
I was going to say, let's be honest, he's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, he's played centre back, he's played left back, he's played right back. He's just played all over the pitch basically, and the performances he's putting in for an 18-year-old boy, really, I think are just fantastic. I mean, I watched him after the Everton game when the players come over to the away fans, and they were all sort of, despondently sort of clapping, and I looked at Archie Gray in the background, and he looked absolutely distraught, just standing there with his hand on his hips, just like, he really wasn't happy. And to me, that's a winner. Melvyn says about, players that hate to lose. I saw that in Archie Gray. He's definitely one for the future, and not just as a player, as an individual within the team who's got a personality and the drive to push the team forward. I think he's a fantastic player, he's going to get even better and better.
Yeah, 100%. And the club obviously he was okay with it, but they put him out on the press conference, of course, yesterday as well. So, and he speaks so well for a man. He's a man now, so young. You know, I'm thinking he's a year older than my son, and I'm sure my son would try his best. But it just goes to show how mature this kid is. So I keep calling him a kid. He is an adult, but he just seems like a baby. But he's such a capable player, and I suppose for the clubs that are in for him in the summer, and obviously we pounced and got him. Leeds had an absolute gem on their hand. I think you're right. I did watch a bit of Leeds last season because a friend of mine, big Leeds fan, so I ended up watching a bit of Leeds, and he did run games, didn't he? He I don't know if you saw, but I think they played Arsenal and he ran the midfield, didn't he?
Yeah, brilliant.
Chelsea. Yeah.
Oh, was it Chelsea? Sorry,
Chelsea,
yeah, you did right. Yeah, he ran midfield, didn't he? Yeah, he was just phenomenal. Gary, just staying with you for a second. Melvyn said there about big players bringing in Premiership ready players. Surely the club has to do that now, though, don't they?
For sure. I think it's all well and good. We've built the squad up a bit with younger talent. Your Archie Gray, Bergvales, and we've got obviously Jed Spencer's come through now. He's starting to shine. Now he's been actually given a chance, at long last. But I really feel that we now need 2 or 3, like you say, Premier League sort of ready players, quality players, experienced players that are going to make a difference. Because these youngsters, they you can't rely on them week in, week out, game in, game out. It's not fair on them, and eventually they'll just burn out. I know they're young and they should be vibrant and got loads of energy, but mentally, they'll just burn out. I think we've got 2 in particular, in Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall, 2 real talented prospects, and we've just got to manage them correctly. We're not doing that. We must make sure we look after them. Archie Gray should not be playing every week, let alone in various different positions. It's madness. It's an absolute madness. We really need to go out. Levy needs to open his checkbook in this transfer window, and he should have done it a couple of weeks ago, to be honest with you. He needs to get his checkbook and start spending some money.
He does, and it's amazing actually to think that we haven't seen Archie Gray in apparently his strongest position, centre midfield. So that if he's crikey, I mean, if he's half as capable as he is, as he's shown as being right back, left back, centre back, in centre mid, he could be the CDM for a long time to come. And he could be the answer to all our prayers in that, having that monster number 6. But we'll see. We got to get some players back.
Potentially a future Craig, isn't he?
Yeah, caveat to say, a couple of managers said Ollie Skip would be our future Tottenham captain, but I can already see that Archie Gray has got something about him that perhaps Oliver Skip as much of the effort and the fact he loved the club. He's a Tottenham boy, and I always love that. But there's something about Archie Gray that you can just tell he's going to be a superstar. So let's hope he stays fit and carries on climbing the way he is at the moment. Terry, before we come on to you and talk about the match incident, let's hear from our manager.
Ange, congratulations, an away win in Europe. How does that feel?
Yeah, pretty good. Not easy to get away wins in Europe. Watching the Champions League last night, it was only one away victory, so it's tough. But credit to the boys. I thought outstanding first half, played really well. We looked a bit tired in the second half, but we hung on, and Sonny scored a great goal to give us that extra buffer. And we had the schoolboys out there at the end, and it was a great victory.
A goal within 4 minutes for James Maddison. What did you ask of him positionally tonight? Did you want him to play a bit higher?
Yeah, we wanted to be a bit more aggressive, and I think it's when Matters is at his best. And, obviously with the context of the game, we kind of knew that if we could score early, put some pressure on them, it would sort of allow us to get a real good foothold in the game. But he was good all night. Again, he got a bit tired in the second half, but it caused him a lot of problems.
A brace for Sonny as well. A bit of luck with the first goal, maybe the bounce, but that was almost like vintage Sonny, the second goal. Yeah, no, he was brilliant. I thought the senior boys today, Benny, Matters, Rodri, Sonny, they all really stood up. We needed to.
you know, like I said, playing away in Europe with such a young team, inexperienced team, you need your leaders to stand up, and they did tonight.
What do you think this will do for the squad? Because as you said, it's the same players that are playing and they haven't always got the results that maybe they deserved.
Yeah, look, I've just told them to enjoy it. Like I said, irrespective of the situation we're in, winning away in Europe, significant victory for us, gives us a great sort of foothold into getting into those top 8 spots, which will give us a week off, which is almost as good as getting through. Is brilliant, and you know, they enjoy it tonight, and we recover and get ready for Sunday.
Now you mentioned it there, the top 8. It's in your own hands going into the last week, exactly where you want it to be.
Yeah, and we've got a home game, so it's a great position to be in. You know, we want to finish top 8 because, like I said, it gives us an extra week of respite from the schedule we've had, and we're probably going to need it around that time. So. Great incentive, but yeah, credit to the lads.
Perfect. Ange, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Not a bad interview that for once. A happy Ange, Terry. That was good to see, wasn't it? Did you agree with him? Did you think Maddison was a lot better tonight?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I thought he was really bright. A lot more energetic. It's. I think we've a lot of Tottenham fans have said that it seems like when Maddison has a good game, that we seem to have a good game, and that really seems to be the case today as well. Again, that first goal, I loved the way that he crashed into the box, and it was a really not just a brilliant ball in from Porro, but just a really nice touch from Matters to control the ball and slot it coolly home as well. I thought he and Richarlison both just in that first half looked really bright. I think he started to waver a bit, and there's still times where Maddison, you feel like he disappears and he doesn't quite grasp the game, but then he'll show up. Like he showed up a couple times in the second half as well. Made a couple of good passes, a couple of good runs, but overall, I feel like he had a 7 or an 8 game today.
Yeah, and it just on the screen now, we're showing Maddison's goal. That you mentioned Porro's ball. What a fantastic ball over the top. How do you think he played tonight, Pedro Porro? Because he's one of the players that's played more minutes than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, he looks tired. I think balls like that, crosses in like that, his driving forward is the reason why he's on the field. He's also in the picture whenever the opponent scores, right? So it's Brandon Austin in the 33rd minute had to make a really nice save on Bischoff, and it was Porro who's there just kind of watching him. Hoffenheim's second goal, I kind of put that on both Austin and Porro, but it was against Porro as well. It was his man that he should have gotten. So I think you know what we're going to get with him on defense. He's easily our worst defender, but the quality that he has going forward, and he's one of the few that really offers a lot of just creativity and ideas going forward with us now. We don't get quite the same balls in from Brendan Johnson and Sonny even more. Although Sonny had a better game today, a lot of the ideas and creativity seems to come from Porro.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty decent today, Porro. Obviously, as we said, coming up to you, Melvyn. Talk us through this goal, because Terry mentioned about Maddison's finish, which we know was brilliant. The ball from Porro, absolutely superb. How do you think Maddison played today?
Yeah, it was really good technique and good control for Maddison, and finished it well. Something that we needed. We needed to be clinical with our chances, because with tired legs, we needed to get an early lead, and it was important to take our chances, because at the end, we only won by 1 goal. So Maddison, finished it off nicely, and I thought he played well. It was a good goal, and I think they did score a similar goal this season. I don't remember if it was Maddison the pass to, or if it was to Solanke, but Porro does try that pass quite often. I mean, Porro tries every single type of pass, and I think there was a stat going on that Porro misplaces many of his passes, but But when you think he's capable of doing stuff like that, when you think even let's say against Arsenal the other day, he nearly scored at the end. Porro's the type of player that just goes for it. He's one that the last time I was at the stadium, it was when we beat Liverpool 2-1 at home. When I think on the 93rd minute he crossed the ball with power, and the Liverpool defender, put it in his own net. He's one of the players that goes for it. Goes for the, goes for broke in a way. He tries to get the hero goal, the hero pass. The Hail Mary pass, I think they call it in the States if you play American football. But he's the type of player that really goes for it.
Where does that come from? Sorry, Mel, just before I forget, Terry, you might know, what's Hail Mary? What's that all about?
It's just a prayer. It's like it's all you have left is a prayer. So you're saying the Hail Mary. You're saying the Hail Mary if anyone of Christian background might know that. So it's a
right, okay.
It's just a last second prayer where you have to throw it into the end zone because there's no time left on the clock. So yeah, that's where it comes from.
Gotcha. Carry on, Melvyn. Sorry, I was just curious what that meant.
Porro's that type of player. He usually goes for it, and I like that about him at times. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes the ball just ends up going back into the opposition. But moments like that, you think they should be building a partnership. They should be building this telepathy between them, like Harry and Son used to have. This understanding of when he's going to run. That run used to be Dele-esque. Dele used to have that type of run, and Toby used to find him. It's these understandings between players take time. It doesn't take one season to. It takes. Look at how long Dele was at the club. Toby takes time to build these partnerships, these understandings, and I think our team, even though it's a very young team, they're still learning how to win, how to score goals. Even to score goals, I feel sometimes we struggle. Even though we have a good goal difference this season, I think we lost Harry, who was one of our best goal scorers, and now we seem to have a team that we spread out the goals. We have goal scorers within the team, but lately we've had the injuries with Johnson, and he had a good run of games where he was scoring. Richarlison last season he had a spell of scoring goals, and now we have Solanke who's out. That's why I said we need Richarlison to start picking up the goals, because I don't see where the goals are going to come from for Leicester. We need these players to step up, and Sonny scoring 2 goals today was really important because Sonny statistically is still one of our best players. If you look at the goals and assists this season, he's still up there. And even in the last couple of years, if Sonny was on form this season, we wouldn't be 15th, we'd be a lot higher. When there'd definitely be a lot more wins than on the board, and we wouldn't have the points tally we have today. So I don't know if Sonny's struggling a bit mentally or if it's all just fatigue, but we need Sonny to sharpen up a little bit. I was happy. I was looking at his body language today, and it didn't look too bad. Sometimes Sonny, I think, gets stuck in his own head. I think he tries to be a leader too much. I don't think Sonny, for me personally, is captain material. I think he works best when he has a captain alongside him. Weirdly enough, I think the pressure gets to him sometimes. If he's not the captain, I think he plays better. Weirdly enough, because I think in his head he thinks, I need to be the one to make the goal. I need to be the one to score. But if it's not on him and he's not thinking of, sometimes he shoots when he should pass. Sometimes he passes when he should shoot. And it's been the same story all season. I think he gets stuck in his own head sometimes too much, and it's more mentally than physically. I think when he's had a couple of days rest, hopefully it's nothing, because he had a surgery a couple of years ago. He had, I think, a hernia or something like that, or a groin injury that under Conte he was playing through until he had surgery. But But I think with Sonny, it's more mentally. I think there's more of a mental block that he wants to be the one to get the goal, and sometimes he just overthinks it and gets stuck in his own head.
Gary, talking about Porro, how about this? What did you make of this miss here? Should have buried that, shouldn't he?
Yeah, it would have been easier to stick that in the back of the net, to be honest with you. I think he got a bit caught up in his feet. He got a bit confused. I think he wanted to take it with his right initially, but then realised it was easier with the left. And then I don't know what happened. He should have put that in the back of the net for sure. But I agree. I think Porro had quite a good game. But I just worry about him. I think Melvyn said it defensively. He's not the best. He's not what I'd call a sound defender. I think he's much better going forward. And there might come a point where, Ange might look at it, assuming Ange is still there, obviously, and think to himself, you know what, I might give him a go on the right-hand side on the wing, move Spence across and play him at right back. Because Spence for me, is a much better defender than Porro. Spence is good going forward as well, to be fair. But I think Porro would be better not having to defend so much.
I think Spence is a better right back than left back, definitely as well, because he can fill in at left back, can't he? But I think he looks superb at right back.
Yeah, but he's done ever so well at left back as well.
Yes.
Since he's come in, he's really looked like the player that we hoped he would be. And I think, potentially he could be challenging Porro for that right back slot. But I personally feel that if Porro was sort of shoved up the pitch on the right-hand side, with his ability to whip the ball in like he does, could be a really good option for us. But obviously Ange knows better than me, obviously.
well, the second goal of the game came from Heung-min Son. Gary, to stay with you, just talk us through this goal for Sonny. Obviously, lovely ball through. Sonny latches onto it, gets a bit lucky, doesn't he? And loops over the keeper into the goal. What do you make of this goal? Good little counter attack by Spurs, wasn't it? Yeah,
it kind of come off the defender initially and then looped over to Son. And to be fair to him, it's a really nice first touch. He got it out of his feet. I thought he took a little bit too long to actually take the shot. But you know what? I think that bit of luck could be the turning point in his season. Because let's be honest, he's not been his usual sort of vibrant and prolific self. So he shot the defender, sort of got the block, it looped over the goalkeeper. I'll take that. He'll take that. He just needed a goal, really, didn't he? And then obviously got the second one, which I'm sure we'll come on to talk about later. But yeah, I thought he did well. I thought he took it well. A little bit fortunate, but a nice setup. I think it was Maddison that set it up, sort of turned and chipped it across. At that point we were in the ascendancy, weren't we? Because as the game was progressing, we were getting deeper and deeper, and you always felt they were going to score, and then the question then was, are we going to sort of buckle under pressure like we have done previously? But yeah, I'd agree. He put in a bit of a captain's performance tonight. I do agree with Melvyn though. I'm not sure he is a captain in the fullest term, terms of the word. He's a really good player, has been brilliant for us. I don't think he's a natural leader, in my opinion. He's too much of a nice guy. I think a captain should be someone that gets older players and gives them a rocket. And you need someone that's going to drive the team forward. He's not really that guy, is he? But I think that was a good goal. In answer to your question, yeah, good goal.
I think with Sonny, he's one of those captains that leads by example, isn't he? Mm-hmm. I do think that some players certainly thrive being captains. Other players, not so much. They concentrate. I personally never like being a captain because you take it away from something, takes it away from your own game. I've certainly found with me, it was trying to deal with that. And I think you're either captain material and you're not. I think Son leads by example a lot of the time. Obviously, if Harry Kane had stayed, you think Harry would have been captain, but obviously Sonny was next in line. So I'm not sure those Roy Keane type players exist. I think we spoke about it before. I mean, I loved the way Roy Keane played the game and that era, but I'm not sure they exist anymore. But never know in football. Everything's circular and comes back eventually. It's a bit like wallpaper and colours in your house, isn't it? I'm back on brushes and paint again. Oh my God, I'm not going to go down that road again.
Don't start that again.
Don't start there again.
Right, Craig.
Yes.
With Sonny's next season potentially being his last, who do you think the long-term captain is going to be? Because that's going to be open for discussion. Probably for me, I would give it to Kulusevski. I see him being probably one of the leaders on the pitch and off the pitch. I mean, he's I think if you have to choose between him, I think, and Romero, are only remaining world-class players. I mean, Romero's a World Cup winner with Argentina on his days, one of the best defenders in the Premier League, in my opinion. And it's between him and Kulusevski. There's rumors of Romero, wanting to leave, and I don't blame him. I think I said this last summer. I think if Romero doesn't sign a deal by January, I think in the summer he'll be sold, because then he starts entering his last year of his contract. But the long-term captain is going to be interesting to see what the club does. If Postecoglou's still here, is he going to choose between? Because he chose three in the beginning. He chose Romero, Maddison, and obviously Son as the captain, and the other two as his vice captains. But going forward, who's he going to choose? Is he going to go to Maddison? Is he going to go to Romero? Is he going to choose Kulusevski, who I've seen videos of Kulusevski for the national team giving, like a little motivational speech before he goes out, saying, I'm hungry, let's eat, this type of this type of stuff. And it really resonates with me. I just think the guy is fascinating to hear speak, and how he speaks, and even how he plays. Is just, the guy's fearless, and for me, he's captain material, and he's the type of player you sort of build your team around.
Yeah, it's a good point though, Melvyn, about next captain. Terry, who do you think, just very quickly before we carry on with the match incidents, who would you choose as captain if Son was to, when Sonny eventually goes?
Yeah, I'm with Melvyn. I would choose Kulu. I think he's even this season, it feels like he's become more vocal. He's become more he's kind of organically grown into that leadership role. Especially with Romero being out. So I think it's between Romero and Kulusevski. I'm not sure of Romero's long-term future here, just like Melvyn. So it feels like Kulusevski, and a dark horse for me, Gary, you had mentioned this, is Archie Gray. It's only been a half season for him, but his calm demeanor, again, he's not a Roy Keane type, but I don't think there are any Roy Keane types. Like we keep talking about a player who played 20 years ago. It's crazy. But his demeanor, his calm, his effort. Gary, I don't want to go over the top, but I feel like Archie Gray could be not just the future Tottenham captain, but a future England captain.
Agreed. Completely agree with that.
He has got that potential. He certainly has got that potential. Terry, staying with you, Brandon Austin on, I think it was 32 minutes, made this unbelievable save, full stretch down to his right-hand side. Brilliant save. How do you think he played tonight, Brandon Austin?
I thought Austin had a great game. I think he had one mistake, which was that second Hoffenheim goal, where he was just a bit hesitant to come out. But that save on Bischoff at 33 minutes, fantastic. At 39 minutes, he had another good game. I thought he was really good in coming out and getting the crosses. I'm so glad that penalty call was overturned, because it wasn't a penalty. He definitely got the ball before he hit. I was really impressed with him. At the same time, I feel kind of sorry for him that as much as we love Kinski and I think Kinski's great, for him to wait that long, what is it, years and years, and then to get his debut, then them sign Kinski, and then he's back to third in the pecking order. I hope he stays with us. It seems like he could be our long-term third goalkeeper. He seems to be happy here. I thought he played really, really well, like an 7 or 8 type of performance today. Really.
I think you're right. I agree. I think in the summer, I think you see Fraser Forster move on, perhaps Alfie Whiteman leave the club. I think if you've got Vicario, Kinski and Austin, I think that's 3 very solid keepers. Josh Keeley as well, ripping it up at Leyton Orient, absolutely fantastic goalkeeper as well, young keeper. That's not to mention the others around the club. There's too many to name, but we've got some very, very good young goalkeepers as well. So I think that department future's looking bright. 45 minutes, Terry, just before we move on to incidents after half-time. Bergvall header should have done better with this, shouldn't he?
The cross in from Madison. Yeah.
Yes, so it's come from the left, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really nice free kick, and Bergvall was all by himself here. It was close too. That would have been nice, because even when we were at 2-0, it felt like we needed a third goal to beat it, and turns out that was true. It would have been really nice to go into the half with that third goal. I mean, you could see Bergvall's face too. I mean, he was crushed. But I know we haven't talked about Bergvall yet, but again, I mean, his performances over the past few weeks here, just I think again today, just a couple times watching it, he's just I kept thinking he's just such an elegant player on the ball. He just seems to just glide through the midfield at times. But I also love that he has that mean streak to him. Like he loves a slide tackle. Like he's not afraid to muck it up. Again, just I feel so lucky that we have him in Gray. It's I still can't believe that he chose us over Barcelona. And in Gray, I don't know if you guys remember that Brentford had Gray signed, and something fell through at the last minute. And that's the only reason why we ended up getting Gray. So I feel so fortunate that we have both of them. I'm with Melvyn in that it's a little unfortunate that they have to play so much, but I disagree with Melvyn in that I'm glad they haven't gone out on loan, because I feel like they could be 2 stalwarts in our midfield for a decade to come.
Absolutely. Melvyn, obviously that brought the first half to an end, and this is just a video of Sonny scoring his goal that I didn't play earlier. And overall, that first half, happy with that first half? And did you think we were going to just cruise out the second half and see the game through, or have you been a Spurs fan far too long to think that?
Yeah, funnily enough, I messaged in our group chat when we scored the first goal. Okay, you can take Kulusevski off now. About 3 minutes into the game. I didn't think. I thought we would win. To be fair, they came back into the game, and we had to fight for the win at the end. But yeah, I was confident we would get the 3 points today. I just thought, even though we're 15th and they're 15th, I didn't think we're a team that deserves to be 15th in our league, and we're playing someone who's struggling in theirs. Even though our players looked extremely tired, I still thought we had the quality, and we only needed a few chances, and we converted every single one. And the ones we missed, we could have been more. It could have been, luckily we did get the win, but I don't think the players were playing at 100% either. I think they were trying to take care of their bodies too. With the Premier League in consideration as well, you could see lots of walking and jogging, not lots of sprinting. But credit to the guys. I thought Bergvall has an engine on him as well. He seems to have one of the traits Kulusevski has, that he doesn't stop. He likes to run. And I was worried he was going to get a yellow card quite early, because he likes to put his body around, and he goes flying in a few times. But yeah, the first half was good. I didn't think they troubled us too much.
No, they didn't, and that's why I thought it would be. We just see the game out, but of course we don't because we're Tottenham. No changes at half time, and I thought a slow start in the second half by Tottenham, and you know Hoffenheim were on top, weren't they, Melvyn? And 55 minutes we had a couple of warnings, but this Kramaric header that hit the bar, that should have woken them up, but it still major issues. 56 minutes more replaces Richarlison. What did you make of Richarlison's performance tonight, Melvyn?
He looked a bit he's not match fit or match sharp, is he? He probably lost whatever pre-season fitness he had. He probably lost it when he got injured and he was sidelined for that long. It's probably going to take him, I don't know, a good month probably to be properly match fit. He looked a bit leggy, but he's still the same Richarlison. I think I like his movements. I like when he doesn't do it as well as Solanke to hold up the ball and bring, but he does bring others into play. I've always been a fan of Richarlison. I thought last season he did quite well for us. You know, he scored I think 9 in 10 or something like that in the Premier League for us. And to be honest, we need his goals. We need someone to score. And I think even with the Liverpool match coming up quite soon, I think that's probably, I keep saying, it's probably one of the most important match for us this season. It could take us to a cup final. So him playing, Liverpool, who is a derby for him because he's an Evertonian. He loves Everton, and there's a bit of extra motivation for Richarlison. So I think he's happy he played for 60 minutes today, bring his fitness up, and hopefully no injuries. It didn't look like he had any injuries when he come off. It was just plainly fatigue, and he seems to be, bringing himself back into full match fitness and match sharpness, and we need him. I was happy that he scored against Everton because he puts himself on the line. He's not afraid to get hurt, but he did get the goal, so credit to him. And last season I had a bet with a friend of mine who doesn't rate him that he would score, I think we said 15 goals or something like that. And now we have another bet going on that he would score 8 by the end of the season in all competitions, and he already has 1. So if we stay in all competitions, I'll be €50 richer.
I'll be quids in, absolutely. Well, 59 minutes, Bischoff chips wide. And I wrote down here, Spurs just can't get on the ball. And if we do get on the ball, we lose it straight away up the other end of the pitch. 61 minutes, Gary, coming round to you. Hoffenheim were awarded a penalty after Austin was deemed to have fouled a Hoffenheim player. Referee checks VAR, eventually overturns the decision. The player standing there with the ball on the spot, ready to take the penalty, eventually checks the VAR screen, overturns it, and takes back Austin's yellow card. So talk us through this. For me, it wasn't, I could see in real time that he got a touch on the ball. What was this about? How just a bad decision all round, wasn't it? And it took far longer than it should have done.
Yeah, I think this was just calamitous, really, utter chaos. I mean, like you, Craig, I could see in open play that wasn't a penalty. And when they sort of showed the slow motion on it, it was even more obvious that it wasn't a penalty. The guy smashed into Austin as opposed to Austin smashing into the guy, and he clearly got his hand to the ball first anyway. The fact that the ref points to a spot and then the player had the ball on the spot ready to take the penalty before he went over to check the screen, and he seemed to take an eternity looking at the screen, and to me it was blatantly obvious that it wasn't a penalty. So yeah, it was a bit of a funny one, really, but you often get these sort of things in European matches, don't you? You do. These odd sort of situations that develop, but definitely not a penalty for me. Absolutely not.
No, it was a shot across the bow, as they say, because on 68 minutes, Stack scored for Hoffenheim. Yeah. Obviously, Porro in this picture, you can see him. It was a bad cross by Son, intercepted by the Hoffenheim defence. Quick break, counter attack. Porro can't get back. You can see him there at the top of the screen. Can't get back in. Leaves Spurs wide open, and it was a decent just sort of cross in the end and a little deft finish in the corner that Austin didn't have any issues with. Who would you say is most culpable there, Gary? Because for me, Porro was out of position, but obviously he's told to be up the pitch and join the attack, isn't he?
Yeah, I would completely agree. I mean, at that point, we were starting to come under a bit of pressure. The pressure was starting to mount up. And really, we just needed to get our foot on the ball and manage the game, just get control of the football for 10 minutes. But we just continued to go blasting forward, regardless of what's, what stage of the game we're at and the situation within the game. And Porro was completely out of position, too far up the pitch, too far within the pitch, i.e. inverted, and he's never going to get back quick enough. And that's kind of been the story for most of the season, to be fair. A lot of the issues we have in terms of defending have come down that left-hand side. And, it's so easy to say, well, Porro's not a good defender. He can defend if he's not having to gallop 50 yards up, 50 yards back. And that there lies the problem for me. I think the system doesn't help him, in fairness, in my opinion. I thought he had a reasonable game tonight. I thought he was quite good. Lovely, as we've already talked about, a lovely sort of chip over the top for Maddison's goal. And I thought he played okay. But I think, as I say, the system doesn't help him at times. That's just in my opinion, really. And as I said earlier, I personally feel if he played a bit further up on that right-hand side, he pushed Spence across to the right back position, I think that would really balance us out quite nicely as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I've said that for ages as well. You could both play Spence and Porro on that right hand side. It'd be very interesting. Yeah. Terry, obviously 71 minutes. I've written the game management poor by Spurs again, because we've seen it before, haven't we? We just haven't seen games out. How do you think Dragushin and Davies played today, centre back partnership?
Dragoshin has its moments, especially on the ball. But given the amount of minutes that he's put in over the past month or so, I feel like he has to get a pass for that. I felt like Davis put in a very solid Davis type of performance. I can't remember any just egregious mistakes by him. I don't remember any just unbelievable saves or anything like that. I feel like it was just I guess the biggest compliment I could give Davis was that it was pretty quiet around his part of the field. I feel like the pressure that we felt, it really felt like for the first 25-30 minutes of that second half, that it was almost just one-way traffic going Hoffenheim's way. But I felt like the two of them were about as compact as you can be. It's I know that we're really happy with this win, but if we're honest with ourselves, if Hoffenheim had a bit more quality up front and a bit more quality in finishing, we would have lost that game. I mean, they had many more good chances than we had there. Yeah. I mean, you talked about that Kramaric header that he missed. The goal that Gary just talked about. I mean, I don't think anybody could have said that Hoffenheim didn't deserve it at that point. I felt like they just cut through our defense like butter at that point. Up until Son's goal at Son's 72nd goal, it really felt like one-way traffic. It was such a relief when Son put that goal in.
That leads us well. That's a great introduction into the next match incident. Actually, Terry, just stay with you for this. Sonny's goal, 77 minutes. Talk us through this goal. Assist by Mikey Moore. Great, lovely finish from Son. And 2 assists in 2 games from Mikey Moore.
Yeah, this was great. I mean, I feel like so the last couple of games, I've been watching some Champions League games and seeing Rafinha and Vinny Jr. and Bradley Barcola and Ousmane Dembele yesterday, and I would see their wing play and just how quick they are to move and get space and get a shot off. And it just reminded me of the old Sun. And this goal reminded me of the old Sun. I mean, it's amazing. After he gets a goal, like that first goal was definitely a lucky goal, but it's amazing how much his confidence opens up, just his mentality. He seems so much more relaxed, so much looser. And you could see that in this goal, and that he just drove at his defender, did a couple of the scissors, the crossovers, got some space, and then the trajectory of that shot. I mean, it was a pretty tough angle with his left foot right into the right side netting. I mean, impossible for Baumann to stop that. Just a beautiful, just perfect Sun goal. And it was at that point I felt like I could finally come for some air, like that we had some comfort there.
Yeah. That was it. And at that moment, I actually thought, oh, okay, we can breathe now. We can breathe now. But of course, that is not Tottenham, is it? As we know, Melvyn, and obviously 79 minutes, Sonny comes off, Lancashire comes on. And I've wrote down Spurs should see the game out now. Well, of course we didn't. One player we haven't spoke about, Melvyn, tonight, before we come on to that, Rodrigo Bentancur. Lovely to see him back, and hopefully he gets a good run of games. How did you think he performed tonight?
He wasn't bad. He wasn't his best either. I think he looked a bit. He wasn't sharp as he can be. But he certainly played, better than, for example, if Sarr played there, if Bissouma played there. I think his passing is a lot better, a lot more crisp. You trust him more in that position, not to make the mistakes Bissouma and Sarr, have been making all season. I'm a big fan of Bentancur. Obviously, we haven't seen his best since his injury. He's not as mobile. He doesn't cover as much ground, I think, as he used to before his ACL, unfortunately. But he's still a decent player in his position, and I think in certain games we've missed his direct passing, and I think we've suffered in certain games. I think our midfield, the balance of the midfield has been very poor this season. I think when we play. Sometimes we play two attacking and we play Kulusevski and Maddison together. There's no spine. I think Bentancur offers a bit more spine to the team. I think his awareness is very good. He's always seems to be mopping up at the right place at the right time, which is something I really like about Bentancur, and he does quite consistently when he plays, which is something that the team needs because the balance of the midfield's been off all season. Sometimes he plays, Bissouma with Maddison and Kulusevski. Sometimes he plays with Sarr. Sometimes now he plays with Bergvall. I don't think we know our best midfield three. I don't think one Tottenham fan would tell you the exact same as the other. I think us four, if we had to choose our ideal three, I don't think we would all choose the same either. I don't think we have a very balanced midfield. I think they're all different type of players and they all can offer us something good depending on the match, but I just don't feel Postecoglou's had them all fit and available at the same time to have that type of luxury. I just think the midfield mostly picked itself because of we had injuries or suspensions or just simple as that. There wasn't 4 or 5 available at the same time. I'm talking about, the last few months. Obviously, in August he did have most of the team available. In the beginning he didn't start. He didn't start with Bissouma. Obviously, he had the incident where he was suspended for the one game, and then in the beginning Bentancur was first choice, and then Bissouma started to play well, and Bentancur was dropped, and eventually he had the ban. It's been a very inconsistent selection in that position. We've had Sarr really play well in the Europa League, and then he started picking him more in the league, but he's not shown that type of form in the league. But like I said, I just feel that position is really not balanced. We don't have a spine like we used to have, for example, under Pochettino. We don't have an engine. We don't have a Moussa Dembele. We don't have a Victor Wanyama. You know, at our best, we had a spine where we made it difficult for teams to go through us. And at the moment, I feel our midfield is quite easy to go through. I don't feel that at times we offer enough resistance. It showed in the London derby when we played Arsenal. I mean, every time we tried to attack, we would lose the ball and they would be on us with a dangerous attack almost immediately. And even though we've only lost by 1 goal to them, there could have been more. And I don't think we don't have a spine. Bentancur does give you a bit more. Does give you a bit more bite, and he's the type of player that doesn't shy away from a tackle, which is something that Bissouma also does as well. But Bissouma's passing is absolutely terrible, and I just feel if he hasn't gotten it right by now, I just don't think he's ever going to. So
yeah,
so that's so with Bentancur, we're in a point in our season where we need him to perform. We need him to fight in a way to stay at Tottenham. You need to fight to show that you're going to be part of this project long term, because I don't think there's many players in that midfield apart from Bergvall, who's in his first season at Tottenham. I don't think there's many players that are, definite. These are long-term players for us. I think there's lots of question marks in the midfield, and yes, Sarr is still fairly young and he's still promising, but Bissouma's been only here for he's been here for 3 years, and Bergvall's shown more growth in a couple of games than Bissouma showed his entire career at Spurs. That's why I've given up on Bissouma, in my opinion. Yeah. Bentancur still a question mark, because you don't know if he's going to reach the same level of fitness he did before his ACL. So we don't know. I've always rated him really highly. So only time will tell. Hopefully the club give Postecoglou, the license to give these decisions, and for the club to back him in that sense. If he wants either of them sold and replaced, hopefully the club back him.
Well, 88 minutes. Obviously, Spurs gave us another heart attack just as we thought the game was finishing. Mokwa scoring for Hoffenheim. I mean, this was a fantastic header, Gary, wasn't it? To be fair, but was Porro slightly out of position and to blame for? Because he was don't mean to dig out Pedro Porro, but you can see as the ball come in, clearly unmarked at the back post.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that the line of defence, it's almost like they tried to step up and then realised that wasn't a good idea. But at that point, the ball was coming across. Porro was kind of in no man's land. He didn't know whether to sort of go with the guy who he's actually going with, or I don't think he knew what he was doing. But what he should have actually done was step back, because you could see the flight of the ball where it was going to go. And he was, as I say, he was caught in no man's land. And the amount of goals we've conceded like that throughout the course of this season, it really needs to be worked on, Craig, to be honest with you, because it's a constant sort of occurrence. It's a constant theme. Goalkeeper, no chance. Like you said, really good header, got right behind it. But yeah, I would say that was Porro's. I think the whole defence didn't cover itself in glory there, to be fair, but I think Porro was clearly out of position. And as I say, we've seen that goal so many times this season against us.
Yeah, for me, I was never a defender, but I would have thought Porro should have been marking the goal scorer, and it should. I think that's Dragushin. Should have been stepping back, but yeah, look, it didn't cost us in the end. We went on to obviously win the game. 89 minutes, Maddison off, Lasisi on. Good to see the youngster get a few minutes. Look quite bright actually when he come on. I thought 5 minutes added time. What could be said? Spurs were holding on at some points during that added on time. Again, I personally think against a better team we could have been in trouble, but down to the bare bones. So look, I think the most important thing tonight was to get 3 points on the board, and we did. And destiny's in our own hands, and hopefully we get that win next week against Elfsborg. So yeah, it's on to the weekend, of course, where we play Leicester. This is a must-win game, Terry, isn't it? I mean, when you look at the Premier League table, Spurs in 15th, can't quite believe that. I mean, our goal difference would say that we should be higher than that. Of course, we're not. Leicester languishing in 19th, 14 points. I personally don't think we're in a relegation battle, although people are freaking out about it. I don't think. I think there's 3 or 4 worse teams than us in that league. How do you see this game going against Leicester? It's a must-win, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I agree with you. I don't think we're in a relegation battle either. Just because the teams down there are so much poorer than us. Not that we're that much better. I can't say that I'm overly confident going into this game, to be honest. I mean, we drew with Leicester when we were at full strength in the first game of the season. And I'm worried about the number of minutes that everybody put in today. It was a pretty tough game today, and it's pretty much going to be the same lineup, probably except for Kinski. I don't know if anybody else is set to come back.
Spence, perhaps. Do you think will come back?
Oh,
in?
and Spence. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Spence will be back, and that would be great. So I am hoping Melvyn has a happy day on Sunday, and that we it's worth the trip over from Malta for that. But it's really going to depend on how they recover today. Craig, but one person that we didn't mention today, so Will Lancashire. I think I think most of us have been wondering why he's been playing more, and have been kind of disappointed that he hasn't been playing more. I think we saw a bit of that when he came in. I thought he was quite disappointing. He seemed really slow. He seemed a little tired, even though there's no reason why he shouldn't be tired. He's not an active presser at all. Like I saw him up there, and in the contrast between what we're used to seeing with Solanke and even Richarlison and Lancashire, I think I'm starting to see why Ange is hesitant to put him in these games. I don't think he covered himself in glory in the 10-15 minutes that he had on the field there. It would have been great if he had put in a bit more of a performance just to bring in some subs for the Leicester game. But I'm not sure how that's going to go. I'm not super confident of a win, regardless of the result. I think it's going to be a close game and one that we're going to have to fight through. But yeah, absolutely a must win.
Give us a score prediction, Terry.
Let's say 2-1. 2-1 Tottenham.
2-1 Tottenham. I'm glad you put the Tottenham at the end of that. Melvyn, obviously you're coming over this game at the weekend, and sorry, I don't think I'm going to be able to. It just didn't work out where we could get to meet finally without the other side of the screen. Would have been lovely to meet you in person. How do you see this game going? And obviously, I hope you get a win for your sake coming over all the way from Malta.
Yeah, I think playing at home will be. It's not like we played Everton away recently, and yeah, I think playing at home is going to be different. Hopefully, the atmosphere will be good. I've not been to a home game in obviously over a year. The last game was September of last year, and I don't know. I'm weirdly nervous because I've seen Spurs since then. I've seen them twice away, but I want the atmosphere to be good. But I feel that because of recent results, the atmosphere is going to be a bit flat, maybe because there's off-the-pitch issues with the ownership, with Levy in, Levy out. There's tensions between the fans not agreeing about the manager. For me, I just want the atmosphere to be good. I want to see a fight from the team, which we've seen consistently this season, even though a lot of the players are running on empty. And obviously I want the victory, but in football you need a bit of luck. I always say this. If we get a bit lucky and there's nothing crazy, because the Newcastle game went against us and we should have won that game, and there's certain games this season we should have won. But in refereeing decisions and this and that, sometimes you need luck in football. But I think we should have enough to beat Leicester on the day, even with the players we have. And I want to see one thing I really want to see is a Richarlison goal. That's probably one of the first things I want to see. And I'd love to see a Kulusevski goal as well. So I'll say 2-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs. Well, I was going to go 2-0 Spurs as well. Gary, give us your score prediction for Sunday, and how do you see this game going? You're on mute, Gary.
Surprisingly, that's the first time I've done it.
No, we've all done it, mate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I think tonight's result, I'm usually more interested in the performance, but tonight was all about the result. And I think tonight's result should give the boys confidence going into the game on Sunday with Leicester. And I think also a bit of momentum as well. If we can beat Leicester, as I said earlier, and then beat Elfsborg, we've got that momentum, and that then should take a bit of pressure off of Ange. I mean, I've seen his interview tonight, and you can just see the release. You can see he's just, he's like a different person almost. So yeah, I think it's a really important game on Sunday. And if we can win that, then, like I say, the pressure will be relieved a bit more from Ange and the players, to be fair. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 Tottenham win.
We've all gone for Tottenham win, so let's hope we're all right. But before we say our goodbyes, I'm going to ask, put in the comments where you're watching from, and I'll put some of them on the screen. Always good to see where people are watching from. Terry, it was great to have you back again on the channel. Tell everybody what you're up to and where people can find you on social media.
Not too active on social media, just more so look than participate. But I am on Blue Sky at TKimWM. Melvyn, Gary, it was a pleasure talking to you, gentlemen. It was great. Yeah, Melvyn, have a safe trip to London. Craig, great job hosting today. Really kudos to you. So thank you. Yeah.
Lovely to have you back, Terry. Melvyn, where can people find you and what you're up to? I suppose you're packing, getting ready, excited to come over to England in the cold and hopefully watch Spurs beat Leicester on Sunday. Yeah,
I haven't even looked at packing yet. I usually pack literally in the last second. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I usually have my name, but it's not there today. It's Melvyn Tottenham, Melvyn with an E. And I'm looking forward to coming to London and see the game and obviously see some of the guys at the stadium and see James perform before the game and do my usual match day ritual. And if anyone sees me at the stadium, say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great to have you back, Melvyn. I know it's a bit later out in Malta. So it's 20 past 11 in Malta at the moment. Are you an hour ahead of us? So
yeah,
is that right? Yeah. Well, we've got high winds coming in as Bob the Cap says here. Yeah, really strong winds coming in. So everybody stay safe over the next day or so. Gary, great debut on the channel. I have to say.
Thank you.
Where can people find you and what you're up to at the moment?
You won't find me anywhere. I fly under the radar. I don't really do social media, to be honest. I just watch shows like this, to be fair. I'm on Facebook, but I don't really go on it, to be honest with you. I just wanted to say thank you. I've really enjoyed tonight. I've been really looking forward to it all week. I'm an avid fan of the show. I watch it all the time. It's great to be part of it. And I've really enjoyed watching Chris and the Herbert Ricky playing up in Germany over the last day or two. So but thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I've really had a good time. Really enjoyed it.
No worries. And I'm sure Chris is going to be uploading a trip vlog at some point. I've seen some snippets of the videos, and there's some really good bits to come out. Trust me. So look out for that on the YouTube channel. Everybody, thanks for watching. 1,300 of you watching us. So thank you very much for your comments. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back on Sunday Well, I'll be back on Sunday for the Leicester game. I'm sure Chris is doing a preview show before then. But until then, until next time, Spurs have got a victory. It's a great feeling. You can all go to bed happy. See you on the next one. Come on, you Spurs.